What is an air?
That's an interesting question.
And why do they mean so much to us surfers? I'm Dylan Graves, and this is my case study on surfing's most technical maneuver, the air.
This is a victory lap, boys.
I don't know, is it?
It's a victory lap.
Because surf culture is long overdue for a catch-up in this subject.
Aerial's probably the maneuver of the future.
This year, there seems to have been an explosion of what is possible on a surfboard above the lip.
What the fuck?
And for all you fellow surf geeks out there, I'd like to get us all caught up on what's gotten us here. In this video, I probe the minds of surfing's top aerialists and enthusiasts about what seems to be a pretty nebulous subject, even to us. What is an air? From defining this maneuver, to its history, to the most impactful airs ever done, let us geek. Let's start with the basics. This should be easy. What is an air?
My head's in the air right now.
An air is when there's nothing between you and the ground.
This is air.
The feeling like you're flying and being free.
An air is when you get lift off from some liquid waves. You can do airs on land too, I guess.
Anything above the lip?
An air is when you go down the line, go down the face of the wave, do a bottom turn, you hit the lip, and you go above the lip into the air, and then hopefully land.
I guess that's probably the best way to put it.
Simply put, airs are when a surfer defies gravity while being on a surfboard. And over the years, surfers have gotten really good at them. From a performance standpoint, airs are really acrobatic, and not every surfer can do them. Nor do they actually look good for everyone who tries them. This is a very nuanced maneuver that comes down to precision, timing, and each surfer's personal sixth sense on how to ride out of and make these airs look good. This one maneuver could be categorized as an art form, and art is subjective. So I started asking people, what's the most impactful air you've ever seen?
Christian Fletcher at Pipe, that big fucking slob thing that he did in one of the Wave Warriors videos.
Pedro Barros in the pool in Brazil. I really love that. I've never seen that done before.
Really big Bruce airs back in the day, lofty ollies, and there was a couple that I don't think he actually made that was into a level that was like just mental, but he did step on it.
Probably like Flynn Novak doing like flips.
Primo doing alley-oop, kind of like shove it things, and that shit's just burned in my memory, all that tech stuff, so.
My full road.
I was thinking that. That's badass, you said it.
Guys in Santa Cruz, Barney used to do a Barney roll. Maybe mAnEUvEr, the air he did in Stab High in Costa Rica.
Matt Miola's stalefish backflip thing that he did in the pool at Waco.
Taj Burrow's frontside air rev kinked TB silhouette that you could see from a million miles away.
Ethan Osborne, the Stalefish full row. Like that inspired me to do it yesterday. I was like, oh, Ethan went off that trick. I'm gonna try that.
Probably Nate Fletcher's straighty at Pipe. He studied him in land, but it was like the Surfer Journal cover.
Slater's air in the Pipe Masters when he did this spinning flip rotation, double grab and didn't stick it. That really changed the way people look at airs as far as like what we're doing here.
One thing that is very apparent from all these answers is how subjective airs are. And it seems a lot of what is impactful to each person seems to come down to where you're from and the era you grew up in. But in order to go full geek on this, I'd like to lay out a timeline of some of the most impactful airs of our time. Starting with the first air ever done. Airs in surfing were largely inspired by skate and snow, who were way ahead of the curve on this. Another factor to consider in this debate is not everyone filmed back then, so things weren't as documented as they are now. On top of that, in the 70s, flying kickouts were a full thing. Who did the first one of those? Who's to say? But the first printed, intentional looking air was Kevin Reed, which was on the cover of Surfing Magazine of December 1974. But the first landed air seems to be much more obscure. There seems to be a lot of names that come up for this, and a lot of hearsay about who did what first, where Kevin Reed's name comes up again alongside Davey Smith, Larry Bertleman, Martin Potter, Matt Keckley, and John Holman, to name a few. But it was Matt Kegley who landed the first documented air in April of 1979. This is the earliest recorded footage I've personally been able to track down.
I think it's kind of important that people kind of understand, like, single fins were, like, 77, we were all riding single fins still, and then 78, some twin fins started hitting 78, 79, mostly 79, and then I opened up a lot of things for so many of us.
So I'm going to start breaking this timeline up in eras, and this is right where the Christian Fletcher era begins. I think it's safe to say that Christian Fletcher is largely responsible for making airs cool, and heavily influenced what we consider a good air today. Christian also did this in an era when aerial surfing was initially viewed as illegitimate by surfing purists.
People only like to see what fits into society, and if it doesn't fit, they think it's wrong.
Then the Christian Fletcher era sort of morphs into the Wave Warriors era, the mid to late 80s. Where both Christian and Matt Archibald were taking aerial surfing to new heights, literally. They both brought punk attitude and skate influence into the water, doing things no one had ever seen before.
Incredible, I thought finally someone figured it out. Someone figured out how to do these airs and actually land them. And to me, that was the huge breakthrough of surfing.
Then comes the Momentum Generation era, in the early 90s. Airs finally started to gain popularity thanks to surfers like Kelly Slater, Shane Dorian, and Kalani Robb, all bringing a new level of style and functionality to the mAnEUvEr. You would have to say they definitely helped legitimize airs, transforming them from novelty to cornerstone, and set ablaze a whole new era of surfing progression. That momentum sparked a wave of aerialists around the world, and one pivotal moment worth studying at a Bud Tour expression session in 1994, where Rat Boy landed what was deemed the air heard around the world.
So we were set up shooting into the left, and Kelly Slater was going right. So Mike Balzer said that he was going to move to reposition himself. And I said, don't move. Rat Boy's going to do something crazy on the next left. And then perhaps the most iconic air of that generation went down, and Balzer got the cover.
And remember just flying around in the flats and landing backwards and then spinning around kind of like, what? I'm still standing, like I pulled this off.
This eventually led to surfing's first air show series, held at Santa Cruz in 1996. This queued up the air show era that pushed airs in a new contest format, which was definitely a melting pot for this mAnEUvEr's progression. All this helped airs become the benchmark mAnEUvEr of any surf part, and even some surfers landing airs consistently in heats. This brings us to what I would call the lost video era, where all their films seem to be centered around airs and different variations of airs captured on film, while also experimenting with different equipment, starring guys like Chris Ward, Justin Madison, and Joe Cremo. A quick shout out to Cremo here, being way ahead of his time, inspiring a whole generation of tech-minded surfers, myself included. Lost videos started featuring people like the Lopez and Irons brothers, as well as Aaron Cormican, all of which help influence the next chapter of progression. Which brings us to the Taj Burrow chapter. Definitely a statement piece for the next generation.
Ooh, helicopter boy! Yeah! Woo!
By 1999, Taylor Steele's Loose Change hit the stores, capturing that exact energy and bottling it for the era. This is truly when airs were not viewed as tricks, but as an essential statement piece for their parts. All these films became a blueprint for progression. Then came the early 2000s. I would say the Volcom film era, with movies like 156 Tricks, all the way to the Bruce movie that dropped in 2005. Meanwhile, on the competition front, guys like Andy, Bruce, Taj, Slater continued to push the envelope of this mAnEUvEr in contests. That energy evolved in the mid-2000s with movies like Billabong's Passion Pop, a full-length film centered around Wade Goodall, bringing the tech side of airs back into the spotlight and proving that even the most intricate tricks could hold cinematic weight.
Trust me, airs, boys.
And I would say from there, aerial surfing naturally split into two clear genres. There were free surf airs, kind of like street skating, where guys were going as big as possible and documenting this process on film. And then there was competitive airs, Surfers like AI, Slater, Taj, Bruce, Josh Kerr, Parko, all focusing on landing consistent airs in heats and pulling them out when they mattered most.
I need to pause and acknowledge Josh Kerr here, as he really pushed the level of airs and heats, bringing that air show flair onto the CT, which nobody had really done before.
Then you had guys like Dane Reynolds, Jamie O'Brien, Jordy Smith,
and Julian Wilson enter the chat,
pushing airs into a more acrobatic realm than they'd ever been before.
Now I kind of have to stop things here, as I can probably make an entire edit on Dane Reynolds' influence alone, which would also take us into the modern collective movie era, not to mention the arrival of superstars like John Florence, Gabriel Medina, and the Brazilian Storm. So for now, I'm going to wrap this up by saying that most people I've polled during the filming of this piece
Noah Dean.
say Noah Dean's North Point alley-oop is one of the best airs ever done to date.
I think on both culture and also this person's body and their board.
And that more or less catches us back up to this year, 2025, and back to the reason I wanted to make this edit. Because for history's sake, and with me being so close to a few of these moments, there's one specific moment I'd really like to shine a light on.
Hold on, let's break this down with this kid is incredible, dude.
Oh wow!
That was insane. And
getting a 10 from the man that invented it.
Whoa.
Wow. The off axis on that, the rotation, the grab, flawless, is Lee Wilson in the booth, right, in the judging booth right now, because the double grab, that's where things are going to go a bit weird.
So what's happening here is Lee Wilson, one of the judges at the last few Stab High events, who is one hell of an aerialist himself, is making a statement saying that he believes that we should be past the point of allowing any air while holding onto your board with two hands to get a score.
I know that I can't do what they're doing, but I know I've seen what those kids can do on a regular basis, and I hold them to that standard. It was stalling the progression of surfing.
He's essentially drawing a line in the sand and saying he's not going to judge this anymore, because these are the most talented surfers in the world, and we need to push them to do all these tricks with one or no hands, because they're capable of it. And Lee has copped a lot of heat for this. But cue up Swatch 9's event in Waco, Texas, a month later.
Break it down, the double grabs die today.
I think for double grab flips, for sure, like Huey, Luke Swanson, I don't know, a couple others have done crazy flips with single grabs. For back flips, also like consistently though, like if there's wind going into you, it's like the single grab works. But if it's not, it's like sometimes you need to double grab. The guys that are doing single grab flips, it's psycho. Like you can't argue with how nuts those are.
Tim Curran was getting Surfing Mag covers of not even landing backflips in like 2004 maybe, like fake sequences. And then Flynn Novak. And so like backflips with a double grab have been done for so long. To think that you're gonna go to a pool and do that and win a contest like Stab High, all those people on the internet that are just like talking to shit like double grabs are cool, it makes my blood boil. Like even Josh Kerr commented on it, and he's like, well, I guess Lee Wilson was right.
Yeah.
If you do it without, it's twice as good. Hence like why Lee Wilson gives it a 5 if you double grab.
I'm pretty sure Jimmy and Zeke are still there debating this, as we all will be for some time. But who's really to say what influenced what? As we've seen on this journey, even the origins of this maneuver are up for debate. And I think there are certain aspects of airs that we'll never truly know everything about. And that to me makes this maneuver, and surfing as a whole, that much more fascinating. And I think it's cool to know that we get a better understanding of this maneuver each time someone new gets catapulted into the air for their first time. What other sport allows for something that's so open to interpretation? That to me is the beauty of surfing. It's subjective, and more than that, it's an art form, one that affects each person differently. And from one surf geek to another, I just needed all of this to be noted in history, at least from my perspective and how I saw it unfold. Because this year was wild in terms of progression. Hats off to all the surfers and to where surfing is currently at. I can't wait to see what's next. Special thanks to Huckberry and FCS who support my efforts in making videos like these. In this video, Huckberry had me covered with Rourke's 7-inch Passage board short, their vintage soft wash t-shirt from Flint and Tinder, and a Huckberry trucker hat. Also, FCS's removable fin systems have me obsessed with the No Fin Key program. And they just launched a new Mick Fanning signature fin that Joel Vaughn was using to win the last Stab High in Sydney. I have links to both brands that give me a little kickback in the episode description. Thank you for your time and support. It's greatly appreciated. The truth is out there. See you in the water.